Okay, I'm gonna do this. I don't know. Do you love the bun? Do you love the bun? Um, I'm gonna do a video, clearly, of nervous system regulation. That would be nervous system regulation again for all you folks. What is nervous system regulation? To be honest with you, I could give you the clinical term, whatever. It's a big buzzword that's going around. No, it's not the same thing as mindset, but basically, it's your body and it's the way that you, well, let me break this down. Your nervous system is like what's going on inside your body. When you're freaked out about something, you can feel it in your body. Like but there's a difference between your mind and your body. And I'm butchering this. Like there's not a clinical explanation, most likely in this video, maybe even ever for me, unless I'm like reading something from Claude or ChatGPT in order to help someone get something because they're that type of minded. I'm not that type of minded, but it helps sometimes to do that. But anyways, okay. So your nervous system, I'm gonna make this like fifth grade level. Your nervous system is your body, and some of you probably already know this, so just bear with me. Your nervous system is your body, and it's what you feel when things are. You have different you have a flight response, freeze response, fawn response, um, push energy. That I don't know all the clinical terms, but it's basically like, when you go into fight or flight. People think that fight or flight is a bad thing, and like if you go into fight or flight, then that means that there's something wrong that's going on. That is not necessarily true. When we go into fight mode, which I would like to call it otherwise known as push energy, and a lot of you guys know that to be true as entrepreneurs, is that there were, back in 2015, just to give you some context if you're not aware, back in 2015, a lot of coaches made a lot of money, and I'm speaking to coaches primarily, but non-coaches can resonate with us. Back in 2015 to 2019, there was like a gold rush for the online coaching world, and people were making tons of money. It was really easy to make money back then, or so people think it was, depending on what was going on. And people were finding themselves getting burnout quickly, overwhelmed quickly, and some were making, I'm gonna put makeup on while I do this, were going past their nervous system capacity, and which is okay to do, okay? And they were not sustaining their income levels because they were constantly in a state of fight or flight versus relaxation and letting it settle in their bodies. I was one of those people who would like make money, but wouldn't allow it like to settle in my nervous system because I had some stuff going on that just I didn't feel safe to let it land. And because of that, I did a lot of nervous system regulation work for, I don't want to say longer than I needed to, but I'm very like adamant about the likelihood that I didn't need to do that much regulation work is pretty high. And when I came back online, I basically got offline. A lot of it was because I was seeing all these people saying like, if your nervous system isn't perfectly regulated to this capacity, then you're not going to be able to get to this level in your business. And finally, when AI came out, I was just kind of like, you know what? I need to check and see if this is actually true. You go to Claude or ChatGPT, they're going to tell you that is not true. That is not true. And there's also my little story that I'll tell you about. I noticed when I was getting back online, right before I was getting back online, I was testing my nervous system to see whether or not I was able to hold and receive a certain manifestation that I was nervous about because I didn't want to burn myself out like I did the last time. And so I was checking my capacity to see if I could handle it. And what happened is when I thought about, and I'm not going to, say my specific thing, but like, let's say that it was a $300,000 client or something. And I would feel into that and I would hold it in my body, like the feeling of it. And I would feel a little jolt, not a crazy jolt, but a little jolt. And I thought up until that point that if I felt that signal, that meant that my nervous system was going to reject it. And so therefore I wasn't able to manifest it because I thought that jolt signal meant that I didn't have the nervous system capacity to hold it. That is not true. And so there are people out there, I guarantee it. I will say this until the cows come home or whatever that phrase is like, I will die on this mountain or whatever it is, that there are people out there who are thinking that because they feel that little feeling or whatever, that they don't want to burn themselves out because they're thinking that it's going to, shock their nervous system and all this stuff. There was another conversation that I had with someone the other day who was like, I was constantly in push energy and I don't want to repeat that. And I talked to Claude about this and Claude was like, being in push energy isn't bad. That's another thing about people who are in burnout, who come out of burnout and want to start again, or people who haven't quite learned to let it land in their bodies, that they think that being in push energy is bad. It's not. It's not ideal for you it's not sustainable for you to be in it all the time. That's the key. So it's like figuring out being in push energy a little bit here and there is actually really good for you. So it like makes things happen. Not all the time. I'm going to repeat that. Not all the time, but it is helpful. Just like fight or flight. There's this misconception that being in a fight state is that it's going to wreck your nervous system. If you're in that state all the time, yeah, it is. But it's the way of getting things done. It's a way of fighting for survival. It's like been installed into you so that you know how to survive. And freeze is when that's another thing of like learning how to protect yourself and things like that in that nature. So we go through these different phases and that's not a bad thing. That's how you are in regulation. So people are also, they think that like learning how to regulate their nervous system automatically makes them income. It doesn't. It might make things more enjoyable. It makes you more in your own body in the sense of you being able to feel things deeper and to experience life more, which is very important. At the same time, there are a lot of people who are either like, I'm not going to pay attention to nervous system regulation stuff at all. Or there's people out there who are like obsessed with the nervous system regulation stuff and they are using that as a reason to stay stuck. And so what I want to be the voice of is that nervous system regulation work and nervous system capacity work is extremely important, but there are nuances and very, very precise nuances that can keep you stuck, that can keep you in action, that can keep you thinking that you need to do X amount of more regulation work before you can actually move forward. There was this one chick that I was talking to a few weeks ago, I think it was, and she was saying like, that you can't, how did she word it? She was like, you can make the money, aka push energy, but you can't feel it and be in it without nervous system regulation. And she was saying that she needed to do more regulation work before she could actually go and make the money. That is actually false. That would be a decision, and a decision is a mindset thing. And that decision can go either way. Regulation can be learned after receiving money. That's why there are plenty of people out there who made a lot of money, why like athletes, why celebrities, not all of them are crazy. A good deal of them are like, certifiably, not all there, but there are plenty of people that have regulated nervous systems that, and I wouldn't say perfectly regulated because I don't think anybody has a perfectly regulated nervous system. And if they did, they probably live off the grid, off social media, and like have a way that it was just set up that way. And they probably are similar to like a monk. So, I mean, if you want to be a monk, cool. And I got no problems with that. Do your thing. But that's not necessarily sustainable for, the majority of people. That's not sustainable for the person that I'm talking to in this video. Now, the reason that I wanted to talk about this is I wanted to get you to actually really think about like where do you stand with nervous system regulation? Depending on where you stand with nervous system regulation and capacity work, it can either be the thing that you are avoiding or using as your crutch and using as your excuse to either like not move forward, learn how to rest, etc., etc. And so I think a big problem, is that mindset, because what I was saying earlier, back in 2015, 2018, it was mindset. And then there were so many people that got really, really burnt out and really, really like needing to be more somatic and in their bodies and more embodied, and figured out that it was more about, it wasn't just about make the money. It was about feeling and authenticity and enjoying the alignment process and all of that stuff, which I completely agree. That's one of the reasons why I stepped back. But it can be that place where you're waiting for this perfect signal that's never gonna come. And it can be this feeling of like, oh, I don't ever want to be in push energy. Most likely, if you've been off the grid, or you've been chilling, or you've been like afraid that you're going to have to step into push energy in order to get things going, you're probably going to need to do that, but you're not going to die and you're not going to necessarily burn out. If you've been in constant push energy and you haven't rested and you haven't learned how to regulate your nervous system, yeah, there's a possibility you could get into burnout. That's inevitable. So how do you like make sure that you don't get into burnout? You learn how to regulate your nervous system, but regulating your nervous system doesn't have to take 6 years. I saw a chick, a nervous system coach on TikTok, and I was like, oh my God. She probably has really valuable stuff to say, and I've even saved some of her posts, but she said, oh my God. She said the headline was, it takes 6 to 7 years for your nervous system to be regulated. And then she had some other videos about like how you need to like be, in so many words, like how somebody who's in a fight or flight state or in a panic state or it doesn't know anything about mindset and nervous system regulation work was going to be like thinking like, oh, I have to spend another 2 years during regulation work in order to get to where I want to be. And it was just like, oh my gosh. And so people are they're avoiding mindset work because this nervous system regulation buzz is so strong. And so it's a tender place, because yes, it is about your nervous system, but there's so much blame on nervous system regulation that it's like, okay, do you want to like actually, like there was a chick on Substack. Follow me on Substack. I am on Substack. If you haven't heard me say Substack enough, I'm saying Substack. I'm on Substack. I like Substack. Somebody just messaged me. Okay. Anyways, Substack. Oh yeah. Okay. What was I saying? Nervous. Oh yeah. Okay. So the mindset piece and the nervous system regulation piece. I think we need to have more people talking about mindset. I think people are afraid to talk about mindset because they're like, oh, but it's the nervous system. And yeah, it is the nervous system. But guess what? There are a lot of people out there who are literally terrified of the AI age. And no matter how much damn regulation work you do on your nervous system, you're going to be you're either going to get with the AI crowd or you're not, and you're going to be left behind. And most of them, the majority of business owners right now are freaking out. So I mean, like, just because you have a really regulated nervous system, guess what? A really regulated nervous system goes through different states. And some of those states deal with being in push energy. It deals with being in different types of mindsets and different types of feelings and all of those sensations. So it's like, it's not this like a utopia that you reach. And I think there's a lot of like, for example, I'm gonna use another example. I talked to this other chick who's like so damn regulated. It's like not even funny. Like this chick's done like yoga and breath work. And if you're one of those cats, like I guarantee you that your nervous system is pretty regulated. And there's a part of you, I'd put money on it. I'd put money on it that you're probably straight up, that you're probably in a place of like not wanting to, you're saying that you don't want to be in push energy. And the reality is that you actually are really enjoying being, I don't think lazy is the right word, but screwing around. And that's okay. But the key to you moving forward, if you're watching this video, is to recognize that your mind is telling you that we don't want to go into push energy. We don't want to burn out. We don't want to do this and we don't want to do that. So we're going to stay here and we're going to like be at peace with not attracting the clients that we used to, because it's okay. And we're going to feel our bodies and we're going to feel the sensations and we're going to feel our nervous systems being at peace with that fact. Or you could go, oh, you just really don't want to like actually get in there and get some stuff going, because the reality is that takes some push energy and you're so darn like adjusted to being in this relaxed state. And that's great. I'm not saying don't be in that state, and I'm not saying it's not good to be able to be in that state, but constantly needing to be in that state is not necessarily, I think, a perfectly regulated nervous system in my personal opinion, but you know, whatever. I would say to that chick, depending, like if she really wants to actually like get stuff going, there's mindset issues in there that are, there's a lot of mindset stuff there. And I'm like, okay, should I go into detail about what the mindset is of that? First of all, there's a lot of payoff to staying in this state and being this chick who does all this work. And there's a lot of benefit to just laying around and not having to do things, and saying that you're putting your mental health first and putting your body first and putting your family first. I'm not saying that that's not important. I'm saying that, you know, there's a difference between actually doing it for the sake of what needs to get done versus using it as an excuse to stay where you are because you've gotten so comfortable regulating your nervous system. And so like figure out which one you are, and it like, this doesn't have to apply to everybody, because there may be somebody out there that really needed to take a rest because they were burnout and that's just the way that they need to do. And that's a personal decision, and decision is a mindset issue. It's not a nervous system issue. You got to decide it in, you know, like, yeah, you got to feel it in your body, but you also got to decide it in your mind. And your body is like, your mind sometimes has to make decisions before your body will respond. So like, for example, your body may be in a state of panic, but guess what? Your mind is what says it's okay. Remember that video we watched? Remember that prayer we prayed? Remember this, you 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 remember this. And your body starts to relax when you learn how to like actually do that, because your body is responding not necessarily to your mind, but your mind has the ability to start to work with your body so that you can work unifyingly. I think that's a word. Work together so that you can actually get stuff done. Now there's, it's really important, especially if you want to avoid burnout and like, you know, as you're scaling and stuff like that, it is really important to not be in constant go mode. That's extremely important. Like I have a pretty high level client who's like obsessive about going 90 miles an hour, and she's having to learn how to slow down. And I'm like being adamant about showing her like, yo, when you slow down after you've gone really hard for a day, when you slow down, you can go even faster the next day. That's just how, like, and it's a process of learning to trust yourself and your body. And a lot of that trust work, and I did a video about AI, trusting is a mind thing. Body is involved, but trust is deep in the mind. Deep in the mind. And there's a reason we have distrust and doubt, and some of it comes from experiencing things in the body, but our mind can say, nope, my body feels this way. But the reality is it's not a nervous system thing, aka a body thing, because your nervous system is your body. It is a mind thing. So how do you figure out what the difference is? Claude and ChatGPT are really helpful for this. Really helpful for this. Now, if it's a mindset thing, most likely you need someone to like help you work through this, because most likely if you're, there's a big payoff to avoiding a decision that needs to be made. And what is on the other side of that decision is probably building something that you've been avoiding, going and making something happen that you've been avoiding, having the courage to do the thing, make the phone call, do whatever it is that you need to do. So there's payoff to that. There's also different ways of regulating your nervous system. People regulate their nervous systems through food, sex. I don't want to say drugs, but like, you get the picture. So it's learning how do you regulate your nervous system, because that's really important. Now I'm going to talk about nervous system capacity. Nervous system capacity is a completely different thing than nervous system regulation. Capacity is being able to hold that new level, or whatever level it is that you want to experience. And so I did a visibility YouTube video, like it was like my first video back. It's like, you don't have a visibility problem, you have a something problem. I think that's what the title of it is, but it's like my first video on YouTube. I'll put the link to it in this thing or wherever this was posted. But anyways, so okay, so nervous system capacity, this is the whole thing of like, let's say you're making $100,000 a month, and you want to go to $300,000 months. You might be telling yourself, do I have the capacity to hold that? The reality is you don't know that you have the capacity to hit $300,000 months until you are in the environment of $300,000 months. Now you're kind of like, well, if I've never been at $300,000 months, then how do I know that I can hold it there? If you have learned regulation, then once you get to $300,000 months, you know how to regulate at that place. Regulation while in the new experience builds capacity. So like one of the chicks that I talked to the other day, she was like, when I hadn't made any money online, she was like, I actually agree with you on this. She was like, I hadn't made any money online, and I remember the visceral feeling in my body of what it actually felt like to be in that new level of capacity, because I had experienced it in the physical world. So I felt it in my body, and something was changing it, and it was never gonna, like, I was never gonna be able to come back from that. Like there was no point of no return. And so that part was like, so people who are, like, oh, well, I need to do all this regulation work in order to get to this new level of nervous system capacity. You don't have to do that much work with nervous system regulation. Like people who are spending years learning how to regulate your nervous system, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. There's a decision that needs to be made. There's some mindset stuff going on there. Now, I'm not saying that nervous system regulation isn't important, but if you're in that place of like, well, I don't know if I have the capacity, or because I haven't manifested this, it's showing that I don't have the capacity. No, you haven't gotten there because there's something in your mind that's keeping you from actually like getting to that place. That's what's going on. So ask yourself these questions. Where is it that you want to go? What is it that you want to manifest? What are you trying to execute right now? And is there a part of you that's thinking that you don't have the capacity to hold it? And this doesn't even have to be money. It can be relationships. It can be pleasure. It can be anything. It can be giving up a bad habit. It can be giving up something that you use to regulate your nervous system. It could be, food. I think I said that. It can be whatever. It can be one of those things. And you might be thinking, I don't have the capacity for that. I don't have the capacity for that. Watch what you're saying in your mind. What are you saying in your mind? That's not a nervous system problem. That's a mindset problem. I hate that line of copy, but that's true. Okay. So when you want to change something in your mind, you approach it differently than the way you do somatic work. Mindset work is different than somatic work. Totally different thing. But yes, you do, like, the ideal thing is to do both, in my opinion. Okay. So, what was I saying? The capacity thing is, watch what you're wanting to accomplish. Do you believe that you have the capacity to hold it? You might be like just on the verge of manifesting the decision, again, a mindset thing, to go into that next dimension of being in that embodied, that's a nervous system thing, of being the person who gave up the cigarettes, gave up the drinking, stopped being in that situationship, actually got into the relationship, started making the money, actually went for the position that you've been like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I have the capacity, and like, jumped in the freezing cold Cairo, therapy thing, metaphorically, and exposed yourself to that new level of an environment and put yourself in that place and trusted. That's part of this AI thing. If you want to survive and not just survive, but thrive in the AI age, you need to trust the hell out of yourself. Trusting that you can be in that new environment and that you can succeed in that new environment. And the only way that you're going to learn if you have the capacity is by being in that environment and regulating in that environment. That means that when you meet that new client and you're like, and your body feels like this expansion and this kind of like freaking out and wanting to run and like, like, oh my God, this is like real and this is big and all the things, being able to breathe through it, feel it, understand you're not going to die. I've been there. Feel it, be with it, trust yourself. There's that word. Trust yourself that you've done the work, that you're there, that you've attracted the opportunity and you can hold the opportunity and you're not going to die. You're not going to lose it. You can receive and you can hold, and let it land in your body. Let it land in your nervous system and walk it out and trust. Trust is a big mindset thing. I think I've said that already, but that's how and knowing how to watch how you feel when you're giving up the soda, or you're giving up the sex, or you're giving up the situationship, how it feels when you feel this, like you're having panic attacks or withdrawals or whatever it is, knowing that you're gonna have those feelings in your body because it's a new experience, and being able to sit with those feelings and nurture yourself through those feelings, knowing when to slow down and trust yourself, knowing not to take on a bazillion new things when you're trying to do something that you don't think that you have the capacity for. That's part of nervous system regulation. It's knowing like, hey, I'm about to like change this situation in my life. Maybe it's not a good idea to put 10,000 more things on my plate. Why? Because if I put 10,000 more things on my plate, then I'm not going to have the capacity most likely to do it. And I'm going to think and tell myself and put myself in that loop and go back to thinking those things. Notice, thinking loop, all mindset related so there you go. Watch how you do these things, because most likely you're probably, I only got like less than 2 minutes left. You're probably using nervous system regulation and nervous system capacity to keep you from actually moving forward. If you don't agree with me, go to Claude and ChatGPT and ask them these questions. You'll see most likely that there's some form of lack of decision making, lack of clarity, lack of wanting to move forward, wanting to do the things, needing the courage to get things done, not avoiding something that you actually really want, but thinking, a mindset issue, that you don't have the capacity, when the reality is you do. You more than do. And the reality is you're not going to know that you truly have the capacity for something until you expose yourself to the environment and be in it. You've done the work. Lots of love. Yeah. Okay. I'll see you in the next video. I forgot that this was my lead magnet video. So this may be the first time that one of the first times you're seeing me. Hi, I'm Molly. I am neurotic about this, and I want you to succeed. Hit me up in the DMs. I am loving Substack and LinkedIn. I'm more of a Substack, LinkedIn girl, but I'm on all platforms. Message me from what you got from this video, what you think's actually going on. I loved deep relationships online. I love deep conversations online. Do not be afraid to reach out, and lots of love.